So Ramadan is around the corner and we're busy preparing. We're busy cleaning our entire house, decluttering, starting to think of what to shop for, the meals we're going to prepare. And whilst I understand the excitement that comes with preparing for this month and the meals we're going to be preparing and sharing with friends and neighbors and family, there is actually an unfortunate occurrence during Ramadan, and that is increased food waste. So in today's video, I want to share with you a few tips for having a more low impact and zero waste Ramadan, especially when it comes to food waste. So stay tuned. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Janata aka Jetta. If you're new here, thank you for stopping by, and if you're a fellow Muslim, then Assalamu Alaikum. I recently learned that in many Muslim countries, more food is wasted during Ramadan than at any other time of the year. Some conservative estimates even put it at around 15 to 25% of food that is bought and prepared, which is then wasted. In some Arabic nations, it is estimated that food waste actually goes up by as much as 50%. And that is really unfortunate considering what the purpose of Ramadan is. So if you're not Muslim, Ramadan is a month of fasting where we fast from dawn until dusk, and it is a month of prayer, of introspection, of improving our relationship to God, to Allah, and to our fellow human beings. The reason why food waste is so unfortunate during Ramadan is because it is a time where we're abstaining from food and drink in order to more kind of understand what the less fortunate and the needy go through, and to have more empathy for them. So for that to be a period where we're throwing even more food away that could go towards feeding people, it's truly unfortunate. And that leads me straight into my first tip for how we can have a zero waste Ramadan. And that is to extend the mindset and the spirit of Ramadan to that which we consume. This is the perfect time to transition towards a more low waste and sustainable lifestyle and becoming more intentional and mindful of that which we consume in all aspects of our lives. In addition to improving your relationship with Allah and improving your relationship with other people, extend that improvement also in that which Allah has created, which is this beautiful planet on which we live. And by developing greater appreciation for that which He has created, for the environment, for the other creatures that inhabit this earth, I think that can also help us to develop a love for this planet and a greater desire to take care of it, which then translates into you wanting to adopt habits and practices that are more eco-friendly. So really taking on the moderation that we're meant to be practicing during Ramadan to all aspects of our lives can then lead us to, buying less, consuming less, which then means that there are less and less resources that are being required to produce for our consumption, which is ultimately then better for the environment. I've got a whole playlist on low waste and sustainable living on my channel. Feel free to check that out after this video. I will include also a link in the description box. Now, moving from general transition to lowest living, I want to address food waste in particular, since that is so pronounced during Ramadan, and that is really one area where you can help to make a big difference. So my second tip is to therefore start meal planning. I know you've probably heard this over and over again, but it really does help to cut down the amount of food that you end up throwing away. So don't get overwhelmed by trying to meal plan everything you're gonna eat during the whole month of Ramadan. Start with maybe just 1 week. Make a list of meals that you like to prepare and make a shopping list for items that you're going to need to prepare those meals, so you avoid having to impulse buy, which leads us to having a lot of food that we may not need and will end up going bad. And that way you focus your grocery shopping on that which you truly need. And when you're going shopping, remember to take the reusable bag. But that's just a side note. And when you're meal planning, you can also then easily identify the meals that you can batch cook and then freeze for later use, especially those that require a fresh produce, which can go bad very quickly. And when it's time to eat, all you have to do is to reheat them. My next tip is to go easy on the meat. Now, I'm not asking you to become vegetarian or vegan. I am neither of those things. But considering that meat production has such a detrimental effect on the environment, and the fact that meat consumption also spikes during the month of Ramadan, cutting down on the amount of meat that we eat in general, but just start with the month of Ramadan can have can have a big impact. When you're meal planning for the week, choose maybe 1 or 2 days where you will have maybe all vegetarian meals, or maybe even replace just a couple of meals with a vegetarian option. And who knows, you may have so much fun trying to come up with new vegetarian recipes that you end up carrying that practice even beyond Ramadan, and maybe even having more days on which you do not eat any meat for a bigger impact. My last tip to you is to not waste your leftovers. This tip is actually loaded with a couple of elements, so let me break it down. So Ramadan is a time where we often have guests over, or we're spending more meal times with friends and family. So if you're having guests over and you've made a large meal and you have a lot of leftovers, consider giving your guests some of the leftover food as takeaway, and try and give those takeaways in food containers instead of disposable containers, so we generate not only less food waste but also less waste overall that the disposable containers generate. Or if you are the guest and there are leftovers and you're being offered to take some leftovers, ask whether you can get it in a container, but make sure to take it back, or have a container in your bag just in case you're offered some food to take along with you. Another way to prevent throwing out leftovers is that if you're going to the mosque in the evening for evening prayers or Taraweeh prayers, ask whether you can bring along the food. A number of people do eat at the mosque during Ramadan in the evening, so ask whether you can bring along your extra food to the mosque so other people can enjoy it. If you do not have a mosque close by where you could take your leftovers, then the other option is to look whether there is a local shelter in your area that accepts food donations, or you could also look up whether there are food rescue charities around that will take donated leftover food and give it to the less fortunate. Now, if all of that fails, if you have none of those options, you can look at composting your food waste. If you have a garden, you can make your own compost that can use as fertilizer in your garden. There are so many videos on how you can compost, even if you live in an apartment with no backyard garden. If you do not want to bother with composting yourself, check whether there is a neighborhood garden or a nursery that will take food scraps and then turn it themselves into compost. So you see, there are so many different options that you can try. The main thing is really to make an effort to reduce your food waste. I hope you found these tips helpful. Feel free to check out the other low waste and sustainable living videos that I have on my channel, and that is linked down in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. Happy preparing for Ramadan, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care and bye bye.